So today, guys, what we're going to be doing is essentially going in here and taking all the different things we've learned from the previous days, everything from forms, gestures, and some of that skeletal anatomy, and maybe even some muscular anatomy, and putting it all into application here for some, good old fun learning, right? So we've been covering a lot. And as you guys can imagine, we've been going a little bit slow and meticulous on this one, but I think it's good because in my mind, it's one of the best ways to really build some strong referential knowledge. And so as part of day 4, what we're going to do is I'm going to give you guys this little brief worksheet with 2 references, and we're going to just break down this horse together. All right, we're going to break it down. We're going to recreate it. This sounds like we're totally what's it called, domesticating a horse, but we're breaking it down artistically, obviously not breaking it down literally. And then it'll be a chiller stream, but I think it'll be more of a way for us to reinforce all the things we've been learning. And it's great because if you have not been here for the previous days and you're tuning in here for the first time for whatever reason you just ended up here, this will be helpful too because it'll kind of recap some of the major topics we've covered. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take this reference, and before we even jump in, I think it's so valuable for us to just look at what we're seeing and maybe see if we can just observe some, gestural techniques. I think it's valuable to do a little bit of observation, right? There's usually a process that I like to go with, which is observation, application, and then checking, right? Or maybe correction or something like that. So we're going to go in, and I'm just going to take a look here. And I think for this one, I like to use red, and I'm just going to try to imagine some of the gestural techniques. Now, if you guys remember, the gestural technique is almost like a slightly modified version of the stick figure, but for animals. And so the first thing I like to do is, find that head, and from that head, because of the nature of the head, right, it's going to connect. The spine will connect there, and that cervical region there of the spine. And then from there, that's kind of mostly it that I care about. Then what I'm going to look for is landmarks on the animal. And in this case, this is the horse right here. And you guys would be surprised, but this right here is actually where that shoulder is going to be. So horses and a lot of quadrupedal animals who don't have their scapulas on their back, meaning their shoulder blades on their back, they're going to have it on their sides. And what that does is it shifts that shoulder forward, right? So pay attention to that because that's what those little nubs are right there. So what I like to do is I like to place a line right there, right? Then I like to kind of bring it back like that, okay? That right there is going to be the upper arm bone. That's going to be the humerus bone right here. And then we bring it all the way downtown, and that's going to be essentially the forearm, right? Forearm there is the ulna, the radius. We got here some nubbies for that carpal bone because we have here all these little carpal bones get fused together and create a carpus. And then that creates this one singular metacarpal, which is known as the cannon bone. And then we have these phalanges. We got here, usually it's like 1, 2, 3, but I like to keep it loose and gestural, and we just create a hoof there. And you can see how, again, this is a nice little zigzag pattern that we can actually start to utilize for a lot of these limbs of the animal. It's great to use. You can actually use it on humans too, but this one I think is really powerful when used and paired with the horse, right? So now we're going to go in on this side. This one's going to be a little trickier. Even honestly, I'm not even sure I'm processing entirely what's going on here, but I imagine this is the shoulder over here. And then this right here is going to be that tucking back, right? And then going in here for the hoof. And then we're mostly good there for the body. But you can start to see how this process is a little simple, right? Gesture, loose shapes, zigzaggy shapes, and you can go really fast on this. Now for the back view though, we are going to have to imagine just a little bit. So I'm going to imagine this section right here. I see a little bump. So I'm going to say that's probably where that pelvis is going to be, right? Imagine there's a pelvis there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring that pelvis down. And from that pelvis, we're going to have, this is a tough one. I'm going to say this right here is going to be where that knee is. I'm seeing a lot of mass there. So that's the knee. Then this is going to go down to the lower leg. And then we're going to have essentially the same thing, but in foot form, right? So same as the hands, but in foot form now. So we're going to have the phalanges and the hooves and all that stuff like that. So a long boy over here. And then we're going to flip it over here and just kind of go boom. Here's that knee again. Boom, boom. Here's that section there for the legs. And then I'm assuming it's a little tricky here. It's a lot of sand, but I'm just going to put the hoof there. And what's cool again about this is this gesture technique, as I've shown you guys. Let me actually open it on this window so we can kind of toggle it back and forth. This gestural technique does not have to be limited to horses, right? Horses is just one of the examples I like to use on this stream because they are very muscular, for one, right? Their limbs are very visible because they're muscular, but also a lot of people really like horses. And so you'd be surprised, but there are so many resources of horses to just utilize and stuff. So it makes my life easier from a studying perspective just to use horses. But that's the reason why we like to use horses out here. But you can use this gestural technique for any quadrupedal animal, basically. It's great. The only ones that maybe don't follow this exception, again, are going to be primates and stuff, because humans and primates have a slightly different positioning for their shoulder blades. But you can still use it for the hips, the legs. You can still technically use it for the arms. It's just really that shoulder region that changes. But we have here this. And what's cool about doing this as well is it also gives us a nice gesture, right? We get to see here how the gesture of this horse is going to be. So now we're not just focusing on form, we're focusing on gesture. And gesture is going to be so powerful because it's going to be really what allows our illustrations to come to life. It's going to give us that sauce, you know, I'm talking about that little oomph. So that way it doesn't just look like a muscle diagram or just a skeletal diagram. It's got a little bit of pizzazz to it. Sometimes it's fun to throw that in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this to the side so that way we can see it. And look at this. Like, just look how crazy this looks, right? Like, obviously, if I were just to come up with this from imagination, this is going to look a little wild. You know, this is kind of where if you want to be able to come up with a pose like this, you do, I think, have to do a little bit of practice. I think it does help to visualize some of these things, get loose, get a little messy, right? It's okay if the artistic process looks a little funky and messy, because I oftentimes feel like what you see on the internet with a lot of, you know, artists posting their stuff, and it looks magical, right? They're like, boom, I draw a circle, I draw this line, and then it becomes a head, and then that head gets detailed and then gets rendered. And then all of a sudden you have this full-blown rendered image, and you're kind of scratching your head because you're looking at your own pages and looking at your own sketchbooks and drawings, and you're like, well, that's not my process. Is there something wrong with me? You know? F's in the chat if you know what I'm talking about, right? You ever like look at your own process for drawing and you're kind of wondering like, is there something up here with me? Because that's not how I'm drawing. You know, I'm bashing my head trying to get the right images to appear on the screen, on the page. So all of this is to say, like, even with this gesture, even with the reference that we are tracing over, and you compare that reference to what we drew as a gesture, it can look baffling. So with that being said, let's take this approach and let's go a little bit further, right? So now we have this nice gesture. We're observing things. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the structure on the left side that you're seeing here on my screen, and we're going to actually put a bit of form onto this creature. And what I like about this approach is, same with the gesture, this is a technique where you can block the animal into essentially 5 different regions. You can say 6 if you want to include the tail, but I don't really include it in this diagram. But in doing this, you can actually modify these shapes and proportions to different types of, you know, looks and feels, and that'll give you different animals, realistic or imaginative. That's the power of this approach right here, is that once you get here, you're like, the world is yours. That's the true, I think, intro to creature design, is being able to take these basic shapes. But obviously, like with anything that I always say, right, the hacks are only useful if you know what they're representing. You get what I'm saying, chat? Because you guys know me, I post stuff on Instagram, I post stuff on TikTok, and I always talk about little hacks, right? Tips and tricks that you can use to level up. And I'm sharing them with you guys. Like, this stuff right here is like the hack for drawing animals, but it's only truly valuable. It's only truly useful if you understand what's happening. So you do have to put, a little bit of time in, a little bit of effort to study what's going on, apply these things, understand these forms, understand, the muscular stuff to some degree. You don't have to remember all the names, but even having a rough visualization of these things will then only strengthen your knowledge to do all these shorthand techniques and, hacks and stuff that everybody on the internet loves. Like, everyone on the internet is always like, man, I want these hacks, bro. Thank you for the hacks. And I'm like, you're welcome, but I hope that they don't hurt you in the future. Right? Like, I hope that the hacks are arguably benefiting you in the long run, because if they're not benefiting you, then I feel bad that I'm sharing these tips and tricks. But hey, I guess, that's not my responsibility, right? What people do with my resources and the stuff that I share is out of my control at that point. But you can kind of see here, I'm building up a couple regions. Now take a look, right? We have here the head first. So I'm gonna move my hand. My finger only goes as far as this corner right here. But you can kind of see here, we're starting off with the head shape, right? Right here. Let me zoom in a little bit actually. Head shape first, then we have that neck, then this third section right here that's kind of like a boxy wedge, but it's kind of, wedging a little bit outwards at the base. That is actually what I like to call the shoulder girdle. Sometimes we'll call it the shoulder sling, because some animals don't have collarbones, and instead they have essentially a network of muscles that support these floating shoulder blades together. And so that essentially creates this kind of wide wedge shape right here. It's a very distinct shape, and you'll see it in a lot of animals, not just horses. You'll see it in cougars, you'll see it in cows, you'll see it in deer, right? Essentially, it's a bit protruding there. And it's great for simple blocking of things, right? It's great for just putting things together. But if you don't know what it represents, it could be kind of confusing, because what this section actually fuses together is the shoulder, the front portion of the rib cage, and also the humerus bone, right? So this bone right here that I drew for you guys, this little line right here, that's gone. That's like abstracted away into the wind, because now all that's left is going to be the legs and stuff that come out of it. So again, keep that in mind. Every one of these techniques always has a pro and con. There's no like ultimate technique. This is the one true, the one true guide or whatever that you need to be using. So anyways, we're going to go in here though, and I'm going to just, bring it around town. And this right here is going to be now the rib cage, right? So you'll see here how we section off the rib cage as as its own component, essentially, as its own section from that front section that we talked about, from that shoulder section, because from a simplified form perspective, it actually really is its own thing. It's just a set of ribs with a lot of muscle, especially on the side. So if you guys want to recap on torso muscles, we do talk about the obliques and the lats and stuff, all of that stuff a little bit. We talked about it on day 3, and we'll probably revisit it honestly for day 5 or something, or day 6, because boy, oh boy, muscles is hard. Okay, muscles do be hard out here. They do be challenging, but we do cover them a little bit on day 3 of the boot camp. And that's actually what a lot of that fluff right here is. It's just all muscle, belly muscle, right? You'd be surprised, because the abdominal muscles, the ab muscles, are actually, I think, more prominent. Not like prominent as in you can see them more, but like they have, I think, more importance for quadrupedal animals, because these horses, their torsos are laying sideways. And so these ab muscles and these back muscles are constantly like flexing such that they can support an animal's center of mass. Versus, I think, a human, we can kind of get away. I mean, let's be real. Some of us may not even have any abs. You know what I'm saying? Some of us might just have, a little belly there. I know I have a little bit. I have a little bit of a belly, but we can kind of get away sometimes because, one, we're standing. And so we have a lot of spinal support that helps us stay up. And then 2, we kind of sit a lot as well. And because we sit a lot, we're not really activating as much of those muscles as we maybe should be doing. So it's interesting to see, like, as I'm learning more about animals and I'm piecing all this information together, I'm really coming to a better understanding of how they work relative to how we work. Like, imagine if you had to walk around your home, just try it out for like even 10 minutes, right? Walk around your home on all fours. Hey, and if anybody asks you what you're doing, don't be like, hey, some random guy on YouTube told me to do this, right? But if you walk around on all fours, you'll start to feel exactly where those muscles are gonna be, like which ones are really being activated and stuff. Yeah. So anyways, we're gonna go in here and we're just gonna essentially build out this form. And this mass is, again, it's the mass of this back mass right here. It's the mass of the pelvis, but it's also the mass of the femur. It's also a femur here being the upper leg bone. It's also the mass of the glutes. The mass of the everything really in that back region that gets combined together. So keep that in mind. We're getting some people tuning in here from YouTube side. How's it going? Joe Sanchez over on Texas. It's freezing. Hopefully you guys are not dealing with some blizzard or something. Shazani, thank you for the kind words on the sheet. Appreciate that. Low on corners as well. And how's it going, Andy? Welcome in, guys. Welcome in everybody who's coming in on YouTube and on Twitch side. We got some followers on Twitch too. Blue Brumby. And there was somebody else. Gaston Edredon. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. And I haven't given an intro of myself because usually I don't know. At this point in time, I always forget. But I'll give a brief little intro of me. If it's your first time here, welcome. My name is Kesem. I am a professional artist in the animation industry, having worked for studios that have done stuff like Castlevania, Legends of Vox Machina, and more recently, I worked on a show called The Mighty Nine over on Amazon, so you guys can watch that one there. And over here on my streams, we talk a lot about essentially whatever it is I want to learn. And my recent obsession, my hyperfixation over the last couple weeks has been animals and learning how to improve creature design. So we have a lot of that we've been covering. And then when we're not doing that, I essentially have an animation studio that I run. And we also work and talk about animation and stuff. So if you guys are into free education, you guys like animation, or you want to hang out with me and my dogs in this community, do leave a follow. Leave a follow, join in, and I hope you guys like it here. Somebody's asking, do we have to bark too? Whatever gets you in the mood when you're trying to practice what it feels like to be a quadrupedal animal. All I'm saying is, if people look at you funny, okay, if they start looking at you different, that is not on me. 100%, that's not on me. That's all on you. Okay, you cannot put the blame on me for anything that happens afterwards. Anyways, going back in here, now this is where that gesture stuff is going to kind of apply, right? So I'm going to go back in and really think about the gesture now. So we have that knee section right there. We have here now the lower leg bone. And then right here is going to be where essentially we actually have it labeled. Let me see if I can find it right here. Ta-da! There it is. We're beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. We got the tarsus, right? The metatarsus. And then we have the phalanges, which is like 1, 2, 3. But we're just gonna buckle it up. But you can kind of see, this is it. This is how you make a horse. And essentially any animal. And it's so powerful because, again, you can really start doing this, and you can start even creating stuff now from imagination, because you can start to build the pieces together like a Lego. It's so powerful of a technique. Hence why I really wanted to focus a lot on it the last couple days, right? People who are watching it might be like, man, this guy's talking so much about forms and stuff. When is he going to get to the creature stuff? When are we going to draw dinosaurs and dragons and all the canonical monsters and stuff? Well, we're going to get there at some point. But I just want to preface that I think there is so much value in building these blocks, because essentially the main difference between drawing a basic horse and a Skeletor flaming horse that a cowboy Ghost Rider would be on is actually not that far off from each other, right? It's actually very close to each other. You just need to kind of do a few things, and we're going to get there. We're going to get there. We're building it out like a pyramid, you know? The pyramids were not built in a day, or whatever people say. I think that's what they say. They weren't built in a day, okay? You know, we're building the base of the pyramid, and before we can reach the summit, before we can reap the rewards, we must work hard. Though I guess arguably that analogy might not be the best analogy, since the pyramids were built by slaves. Huh. Okay. Well, I guess we're kind of slaving away in our art. Oh, Rome wasn't built in a day is what I meant to say. But it is true. It is true that the pyramids were also not built in a day. All right. It's arguably also still a true statement. Reminder. The other reason why I like drawing horses as reference is, again, like, look at this. Like, you can literally you can literally see every single, like, bone. Like, it's mostly bone on some of these horses, which is actually kind of unfortunate, because ever since I've been posting these videos on the internet, a lot of horse fans have been telling me some very unfortunate things about these horses. Like, for example, if a horse breaks one of their legs, they're cooked. Like, they're done. Like, it's kind of sad. Like, these are such, like, majestic creatures, you know? But yeah, like, they're out of commission. They break a leg, it's donezo for one of these horses. I can kind of see why. You look at these you look at these horses. I mean, look at these legs, man. They're thin. But they're built for speed. But anyways, now that we're done here, right? So the ad break should be done. When we jump back in here, we're gonna go now and let's take a look. Let me just move this back like this. But let's go in and let's start actually laying down some of the forms, right? Some of the cross contours, because I think those are gonna be helpful for us as well to just visualize what the hell's going on here. So, for example, this section here of the forearm, this one right here, that's going to be essentially moving forward into space. And then this one right here also is doing just that, but it's going to be a little bit closer. And then this one is going to kind of tuck back into space there. So it's kind of crazy when you see it, right? Because this small section right here is essentially the same small section that we are seeing right here. So this one and this one are roughly the same. They're both part of the phalanges. Again, there's a proper name for it. I personally don't care to know. If I'm being honest, sorry to disrespect. This one right here is known as the cannon bone, and then the smaller sections for the hooves are essentially called the pastern bones. And then we have the coffin bone, which is kind of cool. The hoof of the horse is known as the coffin bone. That's kind of tough. I don't know about you guys. I think that's tough, man. The coffin bone? I think it's called the coffin bone because I actually don't know why, but maybe it's called that because if they if they break their leg, they're going straight into the coffin. No, not coffin like COVID-19, chat. That's lame. Why would that be cool? The coffin, like a coffin when you put a casket in the grave coffin. Coffin like when Dracula comes out of a coffin. Why would coughing COVID-19 be cool? You guys are trolling. Actually trolling. So that's anyways, this is all that I wanted to highlight there, right? So I'm going in here now, just touching a few things up, and essentially we've actually drawn the horse. If you think about it, we've kind of done a lot of the hard work here. Now comes just coloring and texturing and stuff, and maybe fur, which we haven't yet covered on this stream. Again, there's so many things to cover when it comes to creature design, right? Because I guess I should mention for anybody here who's tuning for the first time, The intention of this bootcamp series, which is actually a ongoing series, so if you're tuning in, great. But the intention of this series is not necessarily that we're here to learn how to draw horses. It's actually so that we can start drawing and creating our own creatures, right? Creating our own monsters. You want to draw hybrid stuff. You want to draw humanoid stuff. You want to You want to draw furries. This is technically also the bootcamp series for you too. This will cover how to draw some of those furry things as well. But essentially, to get there, there's a lot of different topics that I really want to deep dive into. I want this series to feel comprehensive, essentially. Like I want this to be the thing where people know, like, hey, if I want to learn creature design and I want to do it for free, I just got to go to K-Sem's channel. That's really it. Because the reality is I'm probably going to do this once, and I don't know if I'll do this again. It's a lot of work. So I want to do it. I want to do it once, and I want to do it right. You know, I want to make sure we're getting it properly done. So I'm going to go through every little thing out here. Every little thing. Studying animals is goated for learning to draw dragons. 100% Lava. 100%. If you've ever wondered why dragons, for example, have big chests, it's because, and I'm not talking about the dragon from Shrek, right? That's a whole different reason. The donkey out there was thirsting. But I'm talking just in general, why dragons have big chests is because they actually have large pectoral muscles and they have large sternums right here. So here's an example of that, which are based off of bird anatomy, right? So birds have these large sternums that allow them to have these muscles that essentially allow them to pull the wings that they have. So it starts to piece together, like the logic starts hitting, like boom, boom, boom. Wait a minute. The neurons are actually firing out here today, right? We're getting some activated neurons out here. But yeah, we do a lot of things on the streams. Obviously, this is one of those things, but we do a couple things. Somebody said donkeys live in the dream. I don't know. Is he actually living the dream? I'd be a little concerned, personally speaking, if I had to, you know, be in a relationship with a dragon. I think I could die at any moment. Like, realistically, I think I'd have to fend for my life every day. Would it be worth it, though? To say, is it a worthy trade if you get in a relationship with a dragon? You could die at any moment, but the benefit is that you get dragon kids. No, this is not a Dragon D's Nuts setup, chat. Please. Is it worth it? If your offspring, if your lineage has dragon blood, would you make that sacrifice? Is that a worthy trade? It's a tough question. It's a tough question. You can fly on your dragon too. Yeah, I guess so. You could also technically, according to the Targaryens in Game of Thrones, you could also arguably control civilizations. you could conquer the world low key, I guess. So there's a couple things. There's a couple benefits, I guess. Yeah, you know, to having all that. Okay. So going in here, I know we're kind of like rambling today. So I'm going to take this beautiful horse like breakdown that we have now, right? We're really just establishing horsies here. And then I'm going to put away the reference because I actually don't think we need the reference anymore. Maybe we should keep it. We don't need it. I don't think we need it. I might be getting a little cocky here. We don't need references. We don't need that anymore. Where we're going, child's play. I think we might need it, but it's okay. I'm gonna move this here, and then what we're gonna do now is I want to just break down the skeletal stuff. Now, because we haven't actually covered a lot of the other components yet, we haven't covered a lot of the muscular components. We haven't covered the head and the neck yet. Today's stream is going to be primarily focusing on just creating these cool skeletal diagrams and, again, reinforcing everything we've learned over the last 3 days. But now we're doing it for the funsies. It looks a little cooler now because we're like actually going in here and, you know, making some pretty looking art and not just diagram stuff. Apla on YouTube says, "Hey, Kasem crew, will you do another anatomy on a two-headed? Wait, will you do anatomy on a two-headed person?" I ask because I'm trying to figure out how to draw two heads on one body, but I end up messing up the anatomy, making the heads two. Wait, that's such a very specific. That's a very niche. That's a very niche tutorial. Kasem, can you make me a two-headed character? I don't know if I'm ever. I'll be honest. I don't know. I don't want to say never, right? Because you never know. But I do have a feeling that I probably don't have that on my list of things. Maybe one of these days we can do like a multi-limbed kind of character. Multi-limbed characters. So characters with four arms, right? Those kind of things. I think those are pretty popular, right? Let me know in the chat. One's in the chat if you'd be interested in a day like that, like a tutorial on a character that has 6 arms, 4 arms, 3 legs. Pause. Some stuff like that, I think, if you guys are interested. Thank you for the follow, Pomez, and welcome in, everybody. Sanda, welcome in, guys. All right, we got here our horsies. We got our horses. We're building up. I beat you guys to the pause. Yeah, I mean, I said it, and I was like, wait, what? What are you talking about, bro? What do you mean? 3 legs? Hey, yo. Okay, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4... Wait a minute. 5, 6, 7. 6, 7? Oh, shit. Crazy. Here's a centipede. It has many legs. What if we did like a humanoid centipede character? And I'm not talking no freaky, human centipede stuff, but like, I don't know, the upper body of a human and the lower body of a centipede. Crazy. That sounds wild. That sounds kind of crazy. All right, well, we're gonna go in here and we're gonna draw some spinal structures. All right. So now what I'm gonna do is we're essentially gonna draw this, the spine and all that stuff, and from here, what we're gonna create is essentially first this long tube, right? But this long tube is going to be broken down into 7 sections. So I'm just trying to find them right now. I'm like trying to create these nubs, right? And there should be 7 of them. And what's cool about that is that essentially these 7 sections are also going to be the same 7 sections that humans have. Majority of animals actually have essentially 7 cervical vertebrae. It's very cool. I think it's cool. I think it's cool that there's like relative consistencies between mammals and stuff. And even like outside of mammals, fish as well, like we'll when we get into fish and birds, we're going to start to learn a little bit about comparative anatomy and how technically, we're all kind of similar. And it's such a powerful, I think, such a powerful way to learn. I was doing this stream yesterday. Yeah, yesterday I was doing this stream for the After School Art Crew, which is essentially my Friday streaming community where, people who want to get a little bit more educational stuff, they want to get mentored by me. I offer this program, kind of like a Patreon program, over on my Discord. And so on my Friday stream, somebody was like, how did you learn all of these things so quickly? Because if you think about it, even though this is day 4, right, and we've been covering this, essentially this is the 4th week we're covering this, I've actually only really been studying this over the last, couple days, right? Like I would say 4 or 5 days. So this is kind of like a week's worth of knowledge that I've been able to accrue. And I think a lot of it, again, really just comes down to using relative knowledge, meaning taking things that I'm familiar with, like, for example, the human body, and applying that information, applying that knowledge to how I study animals. So that way it doesn't feel like I'm just learning from scratch, which I think can be really hard, right? Learning anything from scratch is going to be ridiculously hard. Like, imagine if you went to school and they didn't teach you 1 + 1 = 2. They didn't teach you basic math, like little goo goo gaga math. Instead, they were like, hey, here's advanced calculus. Here, use this sigma notation really quick. And you use this and use blah, 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 this. And you're like, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's like the same process here, where essentially I'm going in and I'm saying, okay, like, there are things that I've learned and that I know about drawing, right? Things that I've acquired as pieces of information. How does that relate to what I'm trying to learn now? Yeah, see, people's eyes were like, bro, everyone got flashbacks. They got sent back to the war. They were like, oh, no, not those days, Kasim, please, please. I'm sorry, chat. But you get what I'm saying, right? Like, there's power in that. Though I will say it's funny because as an unintentional consequence of approaching learning this way and talking about it compared to humans, some of the reels on my Instagram and I guess YouTube, but mostly on Instagram, have blown up and have gone viral, but not because of the educational stuff, but because people on these videos are debating evolution versus religion. And there are people who are like, this guy's talking about humans and animals as if they evolved from the same thing. That's not how it's done. And I'm like, whoa. First of all, that's not even the point of this video. You know what I'm saying? Like, the point of the video is we're learning and we're just talking about the bones. Like, these are just how the bones work. But boy, oh boy, man, the internet does what the internet does best. And there are long threads. There are long threads on those comments, and a lot of people saying, "May God bless me," because apparently I have sinned for teaching teaching about animal anatomy. Hey, it is what it is, okay? If I'm doing a dirty deed, chat, let me be the sacrifice, okay? Let me be the one to bear the burden here so that you guys can learn about this. It's wild. Kasim's trying to push his agenda up. Yeah, apparently I have a big ulterior agenda. You know, I'm trying to debunk some stuff, but I don't know. I just thought that was funny. I thought you guys would enjoy hearing that. We'll get a little tickle from hearing about that stuff. I think it's kind of wild personally, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Did you see him talking about having children with dragons? Oh shit. Yeah. What are we oh no. Wait a minute. Wait, you guys might be onto something. Maybe wait a minute. Uh-oh. Have you ever done one of these breakdowns with whales? Not yet, Pomez. But we will probably, well, I mean, we're going to get into fish for sure. And I think, what better way to introduce ourselves to fishies than whales, the mammals of the sea, right? Those things are crazy. I mean, they're crazy in size, but I think it's crazy that the fact that they're built more like, well, this is going to sound blasphemous, but whales are kind of built more like humans than they are like fish because they're mammals. All right, I know the internet's going to go, well, what do you mean, bro? What do you mean? I said what I said, but we'll get there. We'll get there one day, for sure. So bear with me on that one. We're working on it, right? There's a lot to cover, and yeah. Well, but here you go. We've got here this little structure. You guys can see hopefully how we're building it up, and it's looking cool, looking kind of snazzy. I'm trying to see the fusion there. There's a fusion of the bones. The radius and the ulna here kind of fuse together, essentially. Boom. Very cool. Very, very cool. Whoa, we have a huge message from from Twitch. Okay, let me read this out. That should have been a TTS. Made the blasphemy of you making me have to read that. Fine. I once asked my religion teacher at elementary how come we were both taught we evolved from monkeys and that we are made by God. Her answer was that we don't know how long God's 7 days were and that it might have taken a while for him to shape us correctly. I think it's pretty smart of an answer. You know, look, I don't want to comment on any of that stuff because I think it opens up a can of worms, and then we're actually gonna get people talking about religion versus science in here. So I'm gonna avoid answering and putting my opinion on that. But all I'll say is there can be a lot of, from what I've seen on Instagram, there are a lot of answers. You know, there's a lot of theories going on here on the internets. Yeah, I'm gonna watch out just a little bit here because that stuff gets a little hairy. I am gonna bring back the reference actually, not because we're gonna copy it, but because I did want to add some of the hair and the texture and stuff to it. I think it'll look fun. It'll look cool. This is all a simulation, anyways. Yeah. Technically, we're all in a simulation. That's what I like to think. The blasphemy is crazy on today's stream, man. The blasphemy is wild. Have you ever got a hand on any of the Monster Hunter concept books? Those are creature gold mines. I have not yet, Lava. Honestly, the only thing stopping me, I know what you're talking about, by the way. Those books do look great, and the art in Monster Hunter looks great. The only thing that's stopping me is that I have not played the games, and I'm somebody that, like, if I'm going to spend money, you know, if I'm going to put a couple coins to buy a book, I feel like I kind of want to at least know what the heck it is, you know, like a better understanding. So that's the only thing that's genuinely stopped me from purchasing any one of those Monster Hunter books, is just the mere fact that yeah, it's a time sink. I did try it once. I tried one of those Monster Hunter games, and you know, I think I can see why some people like them. I don't know if I personally would like them. I tried them for like a couple hours, and I was like, it's cool, just not my cup of tea. Let me ask you guys too, by the way, while we're drawing this, this is for those of you who are watching live, would you prefer that I talk about all the skeletal stuff as I'm drawing them right now, or should I just draw these out, yap it out, and then we can go back and then highlight all the bones and stuff afterwards? What are you guys feeling? What's the vibe here? Shazani, thank you for the kind words. You guys are really vibing. Thank you on YouTube. It's really cool to see someone on the internet like, look what I learned. If we had more of those, I think more people would learn things. You know, it's funny because that's how I grew up, right?
Jason will be running a 180-second ad break shortly.
Because
Thanks
I grew up with
the stream.
Thank you, British man, for the kind words. I grew up, you know, very, very poor, and so I didn't have like cable television until no joke, I don't think I had cable television until I was in high school. And the only reason I knew about stuff like Cartoon Network and all that was because I would go to like other people's houses and I'd watch Cartoon Network that way. But for the most part, for a majority of my life, I grew up with mostly PBS, you know, like public network television. So I watched a lot of PBS, and I watched a lot of like Zabumafu and all of these like educational shows, you know, Reading Rainbow, Arthur, all that stuff. And so it's kind of funny because I feel like that's kind of how I treat my streams now. Not like it's PBS, but I kind of treat it that way, where like I've always appreciated learning new things, but specifically I only appreciate it if it's things that I enjoy, like things that I'm particularly interested in. I feel like in school it was kind of it was a very interesting experience because there would be topics that I would very clearly be hyper fixated on, like shit that I'm just like, whoa, I love this. And I could spend so much time learning it. And then there's other things where I'm like, I really don't care about this. Like, I really have zero interest in learning about any of these things. And it's just like hard, you know, I'm just dragging my feet on some of those topics even. So I kind of treat it that way too. Like whenever I'm teaching stuff out here, if you ever catch me teaching something, and especially like, for example, now, like I'm on day 4 of teaching this bootcamp series. I'm teaching it because I genuinely enjoy this stuff. I really would not be covering all this and spending this much time on stream doing this if it's not something that like fascinated me. But I think for me personally, I can feel the growth as an artist. Like I it's wild. Like I just see how much I've grown over the last oh, thank you. Thank you, Lovely. I appreciate that. Appreciate the primer. And we are we're moving up on that sub goal, I think. I think it should work. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the follow too. I appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah, like I don't know. I think that's honestly one of the best ways to learn too, right? People always say like, how do you improve, Kasem? How do you get better? Like, do I have to learn this or that? And it's like, well, if you want to, you know, like if it genuinely fascinates you, right? I think that's going to be the most optimal way to learn. You're going to set yourself up for success. If something fascinates you, you're going to want to spend hours on it. You're going to want to deep dive into it, right? It's kind of like going into a wiki page and deep diving into it, or like when you just start hyper focusing on things, you'll naturally want to learn them. And so from an artist perspective, I really do think that that's probably the best way to grow quickly. Is just focus on things that you really enjoy and learn those things. If anatomy is not something you're interested in right now, then don't learn it. That's okay. It's okay. Forget about it, right? You could possibly go your whole art journey and not learn any anatomy. And I think as long as you've been enjoying what you're drawing, that's great, right? There are many people who've been burnt out from trying to learn too much, right? Because you go on the internet and everybody always tells you the same things, right? You got to learn this topic. You got to learn perspective. You got to learn form. You got to learn anatomy. You got to learn blah, blah, blah. It can be kind of overwhelming. F's in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. F's in the chat. If you're like, man, Kasem, sometimes I get stressed thinking about all the different things I need to learn. So don't get stressed. Well, that's easy to say, right? Oh, don't get stressed. Ew, easy. I mean, what I mean is like, reduce your stress by picking the things that you care about and focus on those things, right? Just do that. Yeah, look at me. Oh yeah, just, you know, don't be, because I'm stressed every day. Let's see here. Thank you for the follow, AC White Raven, and everybody else who's tuning in today. Even as a pro artist, do you not need to know anatomy? Well, it depends. It depends, right? Because pro artists come in different forms. I think, for example, if you want to work for a show, yeah, probably anatomy is good, but you know, I could imagine that there are some people who work on like The Simpsons, and this is not to disrespect again the creative scale or try to say that one type of artist is better, but I could imagine that there are people who work on like adult animated shows like The Simpsons or Futurama or you know, Rick and Morty, Solar Opposites, all these kind of shows, who don't necessarily need to invest too much time into anatomy to be able to, you know, create those characters, but they focus on other skills, right? They focus on form, they focus on character expression and character acting. So there's trade-offs, right? So again, this is not to, I'm not here to like say one type of artist is better. Please don't spread that on the internet. Like Kasem said that these type of artists are lower tier. That's not the point here. It's really just to highlight that, you know, even anatomy is not something that I would say is mandatory. Will it greatly benefit you? Yeah, I think so. I think it'll greatly benefit you because effectively what you're learning is the blueprints, right? It's learning the blueprints of what it is that you're drawing. And I think the more that you understand something, the easier it is to draw it. That's my opinion, but you know, I had some people in my YouTube comments recently arguing about how they're like, I don't need anatomy. I don't want to learn anatomy ever. Like, why should I need to learn that? And it's like, well, you don't, you know, that's okay. You don't have to. No pressure, buddy. Please don't feel offended. You know, no one's here to force you to learn anatomy. At least that's my opinion. There might be some people on the internet who are like very avidly going to tell you that, oh, you know, you must master this. But it is what it is. It is how the internet do be working sometimes. On a new Master Academy, the top gesture instructor didn't do anatomy for 40 years. And you know what's wild? Actually, that's something that I've heard about too. I forgot who it was that I spoke to a long time ago. But essentially, I'm sure there are some people in this chat who feel like they're a little behind, right, with art. Maybe some of you are like, man, Kasem, I just started my journey, or I took a break from drawing, and then now I'm like coming back into it, and blah, 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 right? You're coming back into art. And sometimes people feel like, oh, I'm so behind because of that. Like as a result of not drawing for as much as other people, you know, that you're struggling. But there's this one dude, I forgot, man, I'm trying to remember who he was, but there's this one dude who I met one time, really buff dude, right? And he just told me he started drawing recently. And he was good. And what it was, you know, coming to the realization that even though this guy hadn't been drawing for a long time and he just started recently, something that he did do was build a very good understanding of his own body. He had a very good understanding of his muscles, right? His human forms. Like when you're working out, what are you doing? You're working your deltoids, you're working your biceps, and you're working all these things. And he knew the functionality. He knew how it felt to draw these things. So then when he actually got into drawing, it didn't feel like he was just making stuff out of his ass. You know, he wasn't just making magic. He had a system. He understood that, there are muscles here on the chest that create the form and all of that stuff. And so, I guess all of that stuff that I'm saying is like, you'd be surprised how much your life experiences can actually influence you as an artist, like influence how you grow and stuff. It might even be better, personally, if you go out and experience the world. You might be able to tell better stories, make more unique characters, you know, characters who have actual risks and struggles and, you know, all that stuff. My issue right now is attempting to rotate organic forms in three-dimensional space. I do fine on boxes and cylinders, but once things get curvy, I can start struggling. Yeah, no, that's hard. It is hard. I wonder if there's advice I could give on that. I think the best advice I could give, honestly, is sometimes I feel like we what's the word? We overcomplicate things. Like we see, you know, like for example, you see a cylinder, right? And you're thinking like, oh yeah, a cylinder is easy to draw. Like here's an example, right? And we're like, cylinder is easy to draw, but what about arms? Like all of a sudden when the complexity occurs, it's like, oh my God, bro, what happened? Things are hard, right? You're like, how do I draw this arm now, right? And the tricep and all that stuff. So here's like the line of the tricep. Let's just say is an elbow here. So you're like looking at all these things and you're like, oh man, like how do you go from this to this? This seems kind of complicated. Well, I think the thing that I like to do is I like to kind of find middle ground structures, right? So for example, this arm right here, well, maybe before we get there, let's take the cylinder shape and maybe the cylinder shape is going to be this shape. Right? And then maybe this shape, we can carve it out even more to now be an asymmetric cylinder shape. And the reason why is because the tricep sits a little bit higher, and then the tendon usually the tendon just connects, right? And then you might be like, okay, well, now you have this shape, and then maybe we go in here and we apply a bit more of a form for the shoulder now, right? So you kind of get what I'm saying. Like, there are, I think, ways and systems to slowly build your knowledge up, so that way it doesn't feel like you're making a huge leap from basic cylinders to essentially organic forms and muscles. So, yeah. I don't know if that helps. Hopefully that gives you some idea, but that's kind of how I think about it. Is sometimes, you know, it gets complicated. Even what I'm doing here, actually, as you're seeing it, right? I don't just start off by drawing straight up ribs. I'm going in here and I'm drawing essentially all these like basic landmarks first. Like we've essentially worked up the placement to get to then drawing these much more skeletal structures for ribs and whatnot. Let's see. What's the small sphere on top of the hips? Small sphere on top of the hips. You might be referring to the greater trochanter. I don't see any small spheres here. I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to personally. But if you're referring to something in general, like general anatomy, I think you might be referring to the greater trochanter, which is actually the head of the femur bone. The femur there is the upper leg bone. You could actually find it if you're as a human, you can actually touch yourself on the side, and you can find the good old hips there. So if that's what you're referring to, I'm not too sure personally. Okay. Let's see. We're talking about the vertebrae behind the scapula. The vertebrae behind the scapula. What? That's not the hips, though. You mean this? This is the scapula right here. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe. It's a vertebrae? What? You mean this? I don't know. I think I'm confused. I think everyone's confused today. Let's see. There's a reason why a lot of the old masters studied cadavers a few hundred years ago. Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's great, though. It's great because now we don't have to go digging graves. The beautiful thing about living in the current age is we can use things like Google, the internet, and also 3D models. Like, dude, 3D models, I cannot rant enough about how amazing 3D models are, man. 3D models are like such a game changer, I think, in the art space, because essentially, like, even before, like, yeah, sure, it's great to have a book. You know, it's great to have a resource like you can grab from the internet a picture. It's always great, but sometimes the problem with pictures is, like, you know, it gets stuck. You're stuck with whatever view that you get, and so you're kind of limited to whatever that reference or that image is. But with 3D models, usually, and I'm talking about the good ones, right? The good 3D models, man, those can really teach you a lot if you know what you're searching for. So, yeah, no more cadaver digging. Yay! Yippee! Can't wait until you have to compete with AI, KSM. Wait, are you saying, oh, like a plot of Terminator, right? That's when the old hardened veteran is now fighting against his futuristic AI version of himself. Oh shit. Here we go. That's the plot of the movie. That's the future right there. Old Kasem, the old veteran, versus some big corpo was like, we made an AI version of your favorite YouTubers and Twitch streamers. Now you can learn forever while they're in their prime. And it's just gonna be like a younger version of me. You know, maybe arguably, hopefully, a better looking version of me. You know, like, come on, bro. Imagine they made an AI version of me and they just like kept me looking average. Like, bro, at least make me look like I'm like a Asian Leonardo DiCaprio or something. I don't know, something. That'd be wild. You know, the future though. The future is possibly there. Might get there. Better looking, not possible. All right, chat. All right. Y'all gassing me up. K-pop K-Sum. There you go. That has a nice ring to it. K-pop K-Sum. Thank you for the follow, Grimoire Spell. We got a question here from the Twitch chat. Question you may have answered before. When you construct these figures, are you doing mental measurements to keep the proportions? Yeah, actually, I am. I am, and I sort out proportions actually at this stage right here. This is the stage I sort out proportions, not this stage. And the way that we talk about it is, oh, it's not on this sheet, but it's in day 2. So day 2 of the Bootcamp series is essentially me talking primarily about proportions. I can try to open it up for you guys just to show you. Okay. Again, if you want the high def version. Actually, if we get 2 subs, if we get 2 new subscribers today, or 2 gift subs technically, or even I think prime subs even count, we're gonna drop the sheet. I'll show you guys. You know, I want you guys to see what you're possibly gonna get, right? But that is what we do out here. If you guys subscribe to the stream, as a reward, we drop more and more resources. Which, by the way, we've been having a lot of people tuning in. If you're tuning in for the first time, this sheet is available to grab for free over on the Discord channel. It's going to cover a lot of the gestural techniques we've been talking about on today's stream as a nice cheat sheet reminder, some of the anatomy and how that stuff is placed in the human, but then how that then relates to animals and stuff, right? So this sheet right now is available for free on the Discord to grab, along with today's worksheet, which you guys can grab here as well. All you got to do is just join the Discord. And yes, gifts, actually gift subs do count as well. Join in. If you guys can type !Discord, you guys can join. It's free to join. We have a nice, awesome, big community, so there's more things to do outside of the Discord than just, you know, grabbing these resources. I think there's like almost 20,000 people in this server, so a lot of fun stuff happens out here. So go ahead, grab these, and I'll show you guys the day 2 sheets because somebody was asking about them. The day 2 sheets look pretty cool as well. But in this sheet, we talk a little bit about proportional techniques and some of the stuff that you guys can utilize to, oh, hold on, I lost it. Some of the stuff that you guys can utilize to be able to appropriately track the proportions. So day 2 and 3 will have a little bit of that. Where's my, oh, here it is. Lost my mouse. Hey, how's it going, Grimoire? Saw you from recommendations. I'm learning to do digital art too. Love to learn some tips here. Oh shoot. Oh, thank you for the 5 gifted. What the heck? Congratulations to Dax, It Sharma, Daniel Perkasa, Aether, Gorillas, Fan VT, and Winks Lotus. Yeah, W's in the chat. Can we get some W's out here, guys? Thank you for the gifted. And as for that, let's give you guys day 2 of the sheet. So you guys can go ahead and grab this one. If you're watching live, this is it, bro. This is your time to shine. Grab these sheets. They're free to grab. Only while I'm live. Only while I'm live, I always say. Only while I'm live. There it is. We got a new sheet. Huge, courtesy of Dodger and everybody else who was gifted earlier. I think we got it gifted from Funky as well. Thank you, Funky. and everybody else who's been supporting, people who prime subbed. I know Lava, you prime subbed earlier. Thank you, thank you. But here it is, guys. That sheet, the day 2 sheet, fresh off the press. Make sure you react to it. Join the Discord. Is under the art resources section. We're releasing the bootcamp files. They're coming out, and mind you, we have a lot, so this thing can keep going. We can keep dropping more and more resources. There's no cap out here. Well, there is a cap. We have about probably a total of, I have a lot of resources, so there is a technically a cap, but we've never hit it. Maybe is what I'm saying. We've never hit the cap, so I'm confident. I'm confident that we can drop some goods. How do the bones in the tail work? The bones in the tail essentially act as the same almost as the vertebrae of the rest of the spine. They just kind of all connect. I don't remember exactly how many vertebrae are in the horse personally, so for the tail, but they act very much the same. They're all connected, and they have a nice kind of flowy range of mobility. But all right, we have here the skeletal stuff. Yippee, looking sick. I like it. Now what I'm gonna do, oh, am I on a different layer? Okay, I'm gonna merge these. Let's color it. I wanna make it look like this. I wanna make it look like this guy. Let's see. Thank you for the follow, Keeson Blossom. All right. Oh, right. We were supposed to label these things, weren't we? Okay, well, let's color it out first and stuff. Let's make it look all kind of all nice and whatnot. And then we'll talk about coloring them. How long is today's stream? I don't know. I think it's as long as the vibes are right. Yeah, that's my usual motto. Alrighty, let's go ahead and let's label these horses. Let me move this. Oh shit. Let me move it all over. Okay, hold on. And one of these I need to, oh, this one. All right, here we go. Buckle in your seatbelts, chat. We're gonna talk about some anatomy. Oh man, this is gonna be tough though. We could do it. I think it's just it's tough, not necessarily to label, but just like we got a lot of a lot of stuff floating around here, so it might be a little kind of crazy. But let me move. Oh shit. Move that neck. All right. So I'll label it in blue. I think blue will be easier to see. So let's label some skeletal forms. This one right here, big boy, scapula. Always good to know. Valuable. This right here, the dorsal spine. You guys obviously know the skull. No surprise there. Here we have essentially the cervical vertebrae. Moving downtown here, we actually have what's the best way to label this? Well, here let's label it kind of as we're getting down here. So we have here the rib cage, also known as the thoracic section, right? But we'll have here the rib cage, which, fun fact, if you guys did not know, there are 18 sets of ribs. Here we have the pelvis. Okay. Going down here to the legs, this one right here is going to be the femur. Good old femur. Then right here, it's going to be a fusion, but essentially, usually people just label it as the tibia. But we'll call it the tibia plus fibula. Again, fused together. Here we'll have the sacral the tail essentially is just I'm going to label both, but it's going to be the sacral vertebrae. And then also sacral plus, this is the one that's kind of weird. I don't really even know how to say this. It's like coaxigeal or something. I have to look this one up because I don't even know if I'm saying it right. I think I spelled it right. Yeah, something. I think coxigeal vertebrae. We'll just say. Probably right. This one right here is essentially, it's a fusion of things, but you can call it a couple things. You can call it this one you can call the metatarsal, but you can also simplify it and call it just the good old, you can call it like the cannon bone and stuff, but we can call it metatarsus technically because there's only one, not metatarsal. Yeah. And then over here, I will label this zhoosh, like that. This is the humerus. This one right here is going to be the majority is the ulna plus radius. But I think the other term for it could be, again, I think the cannon bone, possibly. I think that's the fusion of it, or maybe the one below it is. I actually don't remember which one the cannon bone is. I don't know. I wonder if I wrote it here. I don't think so. Shame. Oh, the patella of the knee. Carpus. Metacarpus. And then there's a bunch of sections here, which are essentially just the phalanges. It has a proper name, but that's okay. We can actually get the proper name. Let's see. I think this metacarpal is known as the cannon. Okay. And I think this also, metatarsus, is also known as the cannon. So, you know, if you want a little canon-y there. Someone on YouTube said, how do you study animals? What's your learning process, if I may? Well, actually, you'll find it over on my YouTube channel. This is actually a series, guys, that you guys can follow along with. So we have day 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is currently day 4 of the series. So you can actually see how I approach learning these things. And as I mentioned to you guys, I'm learning these things effectively in real time. In real time, these things are, I'm learning it. So you guys get to see how I'm approaching everything. But usually I have a very systematic method from going in and approaching it from basic shapes, then from basic shapes building up the gestural knowledge and the forms knowledge, then from there understanding the skeletal knowledge, then from there, on top of all that, going in and applying things like muscular knowledge, which maybe we could do actually, because we've done the hard work. Now that I think about it, we've done the hard work of drawing out this skeleton of the horse. We might as well throw some meat on those bones, which is kind of wild if you think about it. That meat is essentially just muscles. Wild. Meat and fat and, some tendon and fascia and stuff, but it's mostly just muscle. Eating muscle out here. Anyways, we could do that. We could add some muscles. Polly's asking, how long have you been learning art? It's kind of a hard question because I think I've been drawing since, I was a youngin', but I will say that I think it's only been 2020 that I actually really took it seriously, because prior to 2020, I was actually on effectively a 7-year break. I was on a very long break from doing any art whatsoever. I kind of gave up on art, and didn't really do it anymore. I didn't think it made sense for me to be an artist because of life and whatnot. So I would say 2020 was when I really jumped back into doing art again. And then thankfully, working in the industry and working professionally in the animation industry and stuff has really helped me kind of continue this drive to continue to learn, this hunger, hunger, as the kids say. Thank you for the follow, Seb Call. Did figuring out the effective way to approaching learning art take a while to figure out, or did you progress quickly? The funny thing I would say is I think I knew for a while how I wanted to approach learning art, because I approach it the same way that I taught, the same way that I learned computer science and the same way that I learned STEM stuff. Fun fact, I used to be a software engineer. But all of that stuff actually just I just took it and I used it. So in engineering, there's a concept called first principles, right? Learning the first principles of something is essentially learning the core concepts, right? So in math, right? What are the first principles? What are the most important things, the fundamental things? So that's kind of how I approach it, really, is I'm thinking when it comes to drawing, for me, what are the most important baseline things that I need to know to be able to properly build a structure. So I think gesture is one of those things. I think form is one of those things, and then anatomy became one of those things eventually, and perspective became one of those things as well. But yeah, anytime I want to learn something new, I just follow the same methods that I've been using, and it's worked out so far. I mean, you guys can let me know because I've been sharing it out here. But when I first started learning anatomy of the human body, and then now we're learning animals, right? It's following, I think, the same procedures, same process essentially. There's a method, I guess. There's a method to the madness of of learning. But I also like to think that, my method is not the only method, right? Like I always like to very much state that art is a very subjective thing. Everyone's journey is going to naturally be different. And so the way that I approach learning and the way that I teach things out here may not necessarily work for you. And that's okay. Like, I think there are some people who can't, watch a live stream. It takes a lot of energy, I think. It requires you to really sit down and, maybe the edited stuff is better. Less engaging. I would say it's more engaging, but also less engaging at the same time. You get what I'm saying? Like, the live streaming is not every moment in a live stream is going to be, hyper dopamine fixation, right? Maybe if I put if my dogs were fighting, my dogs were fighting in the background or something, then I guess, yeah, sure. I think there's trade-offs to it. Let's see. Is only day one on the YouTube channel, or are the other days there too? Oh, are you guys not able to see it? No. It's all on the YouTube channel. Take a look. If you go to my channel, one sec. Oh man, maybe people don't know that it exists. No, all the days are there, guys. It actually should be hopefully easy to spot. If you go to my YouTube channel, hey, there's people watching live right now. It should actually show it right here. Creature Design Bootcamp ongoing. And these are all part of the live stream. So you can go to the live stream tab and you'll find day 2 and 3 here. But they all should be on the homepage as a playlist. Yeah, you should be able to see them. Yeah. On the homepage. On the videos tab, they're not going to be there because I don't have the time. I don't have the time to make videos anymore, unfortunately. Been a little busy. Been a bit busy these days, I'm curious about your story now because I approach art with the same study tactics I used for nursing school. Where did you go to first when you decided to take art seriously in 2020? Did you take courses? That's a great question. For a little bit about the story, my story, I guess, is that I worked as an engineer, so a software engineer. I got a degree in computer science and all that stuff. But then in 2020, when I wanted to get back into drawing, the first thing I did was actually just gestures and stuff, YouTube videos, right? Whatever free resources I could find. And then once I really wanted to get serious and dive in, there was still a lot of good resources on YouTube. And I just want to preface to everybody out here, like, YouTube is going to be really great for like getting your baseline fundamentals, right? I really do think that you don't need to go pay for a crazy expensive course to learn those fundamentals. The hard part is when you have to then, go a little bit further, right? When you want to learn, like, for example, stuff like this, you're not going to find a lot. You might find some, but you're not going to find a lot of YouTube videos that are going to go over, that are going to spend the time to go over things like horse anatomy and stuff, because realistically, these type of things are like niche. They're niche topics, and I personally, I don't know who's watching this, I guess. But you get what I'm saying, right? Like, there are so many other viral things that just work really well for YouTube. And so naturally people are going to try to focus on those things because some people got to do it as a business. So, I think this is where I really kind of wanted to, for me, I wanted to get a bit more knowledge. So that's kind of where I dove into grabbing books. So like Bridgman's book on anatomy was very helpful for me. I tried to see if there were some good courses online that I could, dive into a little bit more. So Proco had some good stuff. And then I realized, well, if I'm struggling with this, realistically, if I'm struggling with getting good quality resources and not having to pay for it because, I'm a broke man, I'm sure other people are probably feeling the same way too, right? Like, imagine paying for $1,000 class just to find out that everything you learned you could have got somewhere else. Like, I'm not going to name any names, but I'd heard some stories and I'd seen some things in my time where, surprise, surprise, some people try to promote their courses just for you to find out that it was all free, right? So I was like, well, in that case, let me make some free stuff. Let me make some free stuff, and let me just share it the way that I learn it, because that's kind of how I've been approaching it. And I think I honestly didn't expect, if I'm being real, I didn't expect to grow the way that I did on YouTube and on Twitch. Like, I didn't think people were that excited about educational stuff. Like, maybe there's a subset of you guys who are like, oh yeah, education, learning, but it grew. And I think there's, like, even though I'm not the most viral YouTuber, I'm definitely not. There are definitely YouTube channels that have way bigger numbers than me and perform better. I like to think that I serve a niche in the community. I serve a niche in the community that otherwise would not have gotten resources like this. Stuff like this. Now, I realize, sorry, just going back to this, I realize that this pose in particular is not the best example of going over muscle anatomy, because we're looking at it from a very foreshortened angle, which is sick. I mean, it's cool. Foreshortening is always dope, but it's probably not the best. So maybe what we could do is we can do some foreshortening. Not foreshortening. We can do some anatomy muscle stuff on this horse, because yeah. This one is cool, but yeah, it's not gonna give us, unfortunately, it's not gonna give us nearly enough room to be drawing. What the hell? To be drawing, where is this stupid thing? Oh, here it is. To be drawing some muscles, so we might have to switch it up a little bit. Let's see. Where do you get your references for the animal skeletons and such? Just Google? Oh, I mean, this stuff right here, yeah, I mean, if you're looking for animal, like, general stuff, yeah, I Google things. But it's actually funny because I talked about this, I think, last Bootcamp stream, but I spend most of my time actually on medical websites. That's how I've been learning animal anatomy. I'm on, like, vet websites, clicking diagrams and learning about skeletons and muscles and how they all connect. So yeah, usually Google will lead me the way. And then all of the stuff you're seeing here, I mean, all of this is stuff that we're making on the stream, right? Like, we made this essentially from a picture reference. So we broke down the reference of a horse, then we threw in the skeletal anatomy ourselves. So all of this could be wrong. I should preface to you guys. I might have just made up all these words, but I don't think so. I think this seems relatively accurate. Maybe a few things are slightly off, obviously. We're figuring it out, but yeah. Let's see. I just started learning to draw yesterday. Currently not studying art, just drawing from imagination, what I know, and analyzing them later. That's great. That's awesome. I think it's a great time. The best time to get good as an artist is yesterday. The second best time is today, right? People always lament about how, oh man, I wish I had done art when I was younger, or I wish I had kept it up. I'm like, yeah, sure. Anybody could say that about everything. I wish I put money into Tesla stock back in 2012, and then I'd be a billionaire right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, realistically, we could always talk about how we could have done things in the past, but we can't. We don't have that option right now. And so the next best thing is just to do it now. Start it now. Do it now. Yeah. I was curious because I'm kind of in that stage of my art journey. I have many of the fundamentals down, things like gesture, rotating, form, and 3D space, but I feel like I'm an impasse, and I just don't know where to go from there. I'm a hobbyist, not really looking to work in the industry, but I want to be the best version of myself. Definitely take a look at my character design bootcamp. It's free to watch on my YouTube channel. It's what most people actually know me for. It's a 30-day course. Each video is about 2 to 3 hours long, but it's all free to watch. Yeah. Anyways, let's talk muscles. Let's talk some muscles. Give me this horse. Copy, pasta, dragon. Shit. Yeah, I got a little excited. Copy, pasta, drag and drop. Boom. All right. Damn, day 4 looking crazy right now. Day 4 horses be looking wild. All right, let's talk muscles, but we're gonna primarily focus on the torso muscles because, as you guys remember, we are still only primarily focusing on torso muscles. Eventually, we are gonna deep dive. Yeah, I promise we will deep dive into other sets of muscles. But the first set of muscles actually are gonna be the serratus muscles. I love me some serratus muscles. Actually, no. You know what? No. Scratch that. Let's go traps. Biggest muscle mass. Doosh. Oh, baby. The traps be trapping, bro. Trap muscles on horses are wild. So the trap muscles, they're going to connect over. Essentially, there's a couple things. The trap muscles are going to connect all the way. They're going to line right here. Line on that scapula. Then we're going to get to the vertebrae. I actually don't know which vertebrae it stops at. So let's look at that, actually. It's a good question. Let's look up, what is this? Trapezius muscle horse. Let's see. I can't believe my goat streamer is a horse girl nowadays. Actually, the proper term is brony. Okay? The proper term is brony, my good sir. But yeah, nah, man, I'm a horse dude. Look at this. I'm a fiend, bro. I'm so ready for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. The amount of fan art, oh my god, I'm gonna make so much fan art of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure when the horse stuff comes out. We're fiending for it. Trapezius muscle horse insertions. Where are they? Origins, insertions, and origin. I love looking that stuff up. Okay, here we go. According to AI overview, which we always got to take with a grain of salt, the trapezius muscle in the horse is a broad triangular superficial muscle acting as a crucial stabilizer of the scapula and thoracic sling, which is the thing I was telling you guys about earlier, right? The thoracic sling is essentially this shoulder girdle sling that horses have because they don't have collarbones. Horses don't have collarbones, and as a result of that, they get more speed. But then because it's all loose now, these bones are floating around, they got to compensate. Yeah, they got to compensate, and they get a cool muscle shoulder thing. Wasn't that term for My Little Pony? Okay, yes, but we're reclaiming it, all right? It's 2026. No one's watching My Little Pony now, right? Maybe, but we're reclaiming that bad boy. It originates along the dorsal midline from the nuchal ligament. Okay, cervical part. So the dorsal midline from the nuchal ligament, cervical part, and the supraspinatus ligament process. Here you go. This is what I want. T1 to T9. So basically half. Great. That's all I needed to know. That's it. Perfect. Thank you. So essentially halfway of the rib cage. That's it. That's all I needed. T1 to T whatever. Half of the rib cage, easy peasy. We create a center line right there for essentially the section for where things start to split, and we will flesh it out. So this right here, guys, which I will color and a bit bigger. It's interesting because this human scapula is also a floating bone. Yeah, it's a floating bone, but the benefit of the human scapula is that it does connect through the acromion process to the clavicle. So it still has some connection. You know, it's not like it's straight up just a floating, jostling bone. Like it has some connection. It's just towards the front side. So. But yeah, but for the most part, it is pretty loosey-goosey compared to the other bones in the body. The scapula is weird in general, but it's what allows us that range of mobility. So if you guys are wondering, like, KSM, if I'm designing, by the way, you know, like, it's not like, if I'm designing an animal and I have to figure out whether or not the shoulders need to be on the front side or on the back side, how do I know which is which? The actual simple answer is you got to ask yourself this question. Is your creature is your creature going to climb? That's it. If your creature needs to climb, the shoulders cannot be on the sides. Sorry, buddy. Ain't no way. It just ain't happening. If your creature does not need to climb, then you put them like this, like this type of thing. If they do need to climb, then yeah, you're gonna want to put them on the side or on the back, like a human or like a primate, right? And then there you go. So that's kind of how you can determine it realistically. Is it's all about functionality, right? Like what purpose does it serve? If the creature you wants speed, right? You want to draw like a monster with just a zoom in monster, then you best believe you need to go in there and give them some speedy features, like the horse or a cheetah. Cheetah could be a good one too. Yo, how's it going? Cyberpunk, welcome in. I think we're in an ad break right now. We're always stuck in these ad breaks. And though there's no games to play, unfortunately. People can't even play games out here. Okay, anyways, we're going in here. We have the trapezius muscle, beautiful muscle. It's much more prominent and much more involved, I think, in quadrupeds than it is for humans. If I'm being honest, like yeah, it's cool. Like as a human, it's dope that we got trap muscles, but it's not nearly doing as much as it is for a horse. Like the horse, dude, they got big heads, they got big necks, so you can imagine they're doing a bit of heavy lifting over there. Bit of heavy lifting. Us humans, come on, what do we really got? What are we really working with here? Anyways, from here we're gonna go now and we're gonna insert over the serratus. Let me do this in a darker color. So the serratus muscles are kind of interesting because they do a couple things. One, they're gonna connect to the spine, the cervical portion, I should say. Damn, this music's bopping today. I wish I had traps like a horse. I'd look like the the Superdome. Yeah, you know, horse traps, crazy. So essentially, the serratus muscles are going to connect here on the interior side. But then they're also going to connect, this is where it's more cool, I think, to, I believe, the first 9. I have to double check now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Essentially the first half. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm surprised I even did this. I calculated this. Hey, thanks for the follow. Omar Lodge Mitch. Hopefully I said that right. The neck of the horse reminds me of prime Mike Tyson. What the hell? I guess. Yeah, sure, yeah. I guess so. Prime Mike Tyson, huh? What a wild comment. Let's see. But yeah, I think, you know, overall, this is kind of my way of practicing and reinforcing this. And so you might wonder, like, if you guys are watching this bootcamp series in real time, you might be like, man, Kasem, I feel like we're covering the bones so much, right? I feel like we're covering these muscles and stuff so much. Well, the reality again is like, it's one thing to just learn it, right? It's one thing to be like, oh, cool, this is that, this is this. It's another thing to actually reinforce that said knowledge and be able to apply it in your everyday. Because realistically, this right here, this process of going in and drawing out every single muscle and stuff is what allows me personally to be able to go in from the side. And if I wanted to, I could go in here and probably draw a horse from imagination. So here we go. We got the serratus muscles. Oh, fun fact: the pectoral muscles, the chest muscles of the horse, which we can do in green. It's interesting because those muscles, again, because horses are interesting because one, they don't need to raise their arms, right? For essentially, they don't need to raise their arms to climb or anything. And on top of that, they don't have clavicles for the pectoral muscles to connect to. So like horses will have chest muscles, but they're not going to be as prominent as humans. Like proportionally speaking, us humans, we got massive chests. Okay? Relative to other animals, bro, our chest muscles are huge. We really invested as a species. We really said we want chest muscles. Because they just serve so much more functionality. Yeah, they serve more purpose for what we do. But this is going to be where the pecs are going to land, right? And then what else we got from there? That's the chest muscles. We can do the obliques. Oblique muscles are fun too. Obliques come in. The obliques come in a lot of variety, but we'll do them in purple so you guys can see. So the oblique muscles essentially are gonna sit along they're gonna kind of go from here, like this is where the pecs are, and they kind of, not the pecs, the pelvis. There you go. I'm lost for words. And they kind of just, yeah, they insert here. And then, just like humans, they create that sick-ass zigzaggy shape. The cool shape. Now, mind you, they don't connect to all of them. They're just going to connect to a couple of them. I forget if it's like how many it stops at. Maybe on the 4th or 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, right here. That's about right. Damn, look at this. This is sick. Making some sick ass art. This is boom. Little riblets. Yum. Kasem needs face tattoos? Wait, what? Why would I need face tattoos? Huh? For what? For what purpose? He'll look like Post Malone. Ah, okay. And then I'm going to give him a little bit more meat there. So the obliques come in a couple flavors, okay? You have here the external obliques, then you have the internal obliques, which is, I don't know if we should draw them. I don't know if it's worth it because they're internal. Because technically these obliques right here, that's majority of it. Like, they essentially combine with the abs, the abdominal muscles on the bottom there. You know? If you want ab muscles, right? Those are going to sit obviously down here. They connect back there. You can start to see how it's all piecing. It's all piecing together. in this fun little thing. Anatomy. Fun. Yeehaw. And we'll label them for you guys. Don't worry. I think I'm missing some muscle, though. I'm missing some important ones, like the lats. Hello, bro. We can't skip lat day. The lats are crazy. Because unfortunately, guys, the lats are gonna cover the lats cover everything. All the hard work we just did, forget about it. Who cares? Screw that, because the lats are gonna essentially take it all. The lats go yoink. See, I think humans, do we got big lats? What do you guys think? Do you guys think we got big lat muscles? I guess so. I guess we got some big lat muscles. I don't think they're as big as animals, though, because with animals, especially these quadruped types, they're essentially holding up a lot of the, the body. I'm gonna look it up. Where the horse latissimus insertions. Okay, so we have here the medial side of the proximal humerus. Yep. Origins. We also need the origins. Okay, here we go. Originating from the thoracolumbar fascia, the spinous process of the lumbar, and the last 7 to 8 thoracic vertebrae. So damn, it covers the whole lumbar region. So that's literally all of this. That's this. And then the last 7, 8. This is it. This is straight up all lat muscles. Damn. What the helly? That's pretty much it. Horses are built different. And I don't know if I guess there's a little bit of ribs showing, actually. Not too much. We can't glaze horses too much. But essentially, guys, that's it. These are, I think, the major muscles essentially of the horse. But it's crazy because, again, these are essentially the major muscles of almost all quadrupeds. They will follow this structure. So if you can memorize this, or not memorize, but if you can like create this and practice this, this is pretty much all the major muscles of the torso, at least, right? This is what I was hoping to get done on day 3, but we didn't really have too much time, so now we're covering it. We're touching base on it on day 4. Wild. Boom. Okay. Label? Should we label these? There's so much to label. We'll label it. We got to do it, right, chat? Proper labeling here for those of you who have been following along. Okay. So let's label these. What is this one? Trapezius. The one in orange. Serratus. Latissimus dorsi. Obliques. With this information, you think you could draw a centaur? Maybe, because centaurs, again, they're a little different because the majority of their torso, you can imagine, right? Like a centaur has the chest muscles up here. And so the torso kind of becomes elongated a little bit. And so it's not as simple, I think, as just slapping on. I think there's a couple of things you'd have to think about if I'm being real honest. It's not as easy as I'd like to think. There is one set of muscles that I also forgot to add, which is the erector spinae. I'm gonna throw it on here, okay? Okay, bear with me. Hold on. We're gonna squeeze a little bit of time here for the erector spinae. Because the erector spinae, you don't really see it as much in humans, matter of fact, but you'll see it a lot, especially you'll see it a lot in horses. Like, they play such a huge role. It's essentially this massive where do I even throw it on here? It's like below all of these. What color should I give it? Green, red, blue, yellow, a bright yellow, maybe. Sure. That's all going to be like right underneath. And essentially helps support the back muscles of the horse there. I think they call it the longissimus dorsi, which I think is also known as the erector spinae group. Yeah, it's a massive muscle. It's essentially all the neck stuff, right? I wonder if it's actually part of the spinae group. Is it part of the spinae group? Spinalis dorsi? Yeah, I think so. Okay, so we should actually color it. Whatever. It's all underneath. But all of that essentially is the muscles for the horse. For the back for the torso muscles. Crazy. Damn. Look how much we did today, chat. What do you think? W stream? Is today a W stream? I feel like we packed a lot today. Holy moly. Now that I'm seeing it in completion, what a day. Thank you for the follow, Scar Kazushi. Thank you for D-Shrimps and for quenching my thirst. Guys, thanks again. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's stream over on the YouTube side. If you guys like this is just day 4 of the Bootcamp series. You could find day 1, 2, and 3 over on the YouTube channel. There's a playlist for it. You can see them on the live tab, on the video tab, all that cool stuff. Also, do not forget to grab the resources today because these are free to grab and we hit the sub goal. right here. We hit the sub goal, boom. So we have multiple sheets. We have today's sheet for day 3 that you can grab. And then also the day 2 sheet is also free to grab, guys. These are only free while I am live. So join the Discord channel. And if you guys missed it, you're watching this as a VOD, it's okay because you can check out my next stream and probably will drop some resources then as well. All right. So make sure to tune in. Thanks again for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you've been following along on today's stream. And people on the Twitch chat, can you guys say bye to YouTube real quick? Hit them with the buys. And people on the YouTube side, if you guys want to join us over on Twitch, we are still going to stream a little bit more so you guys can hang out over with us.